Welcome back to part two of our chat with Praanesh from Qoruz. The first half, we talked about moving influencer marketing away from guesswork and into hard data. Now, let's talk about the reality of growing a business. Praanesh, welcome back.
Great to be here, sir.
Okay. Every time a SaaS company doubles in size, something breaks. As you scale Qoruz, what's been the real bottleneck? Is it hiring the right talent, closing enterprise accounts, or just keeping up with the technology?
Keeping up with technology is an ever-growing problem. Technology is evolving at an extremely rapid pace to cope up, right? So in our head, we made peace with the fact that we are going to play catch up with technology forever, right? It's not a one-time exercise. You fix everything and then it works great. You're supposed to keep evolving every 2 years or maybe sometimes even every 1.5 years, right? So aside, what we understood is the second problem is how do we convert from founder-driven operations to organization-driven operation? It's like the chasm between 0 to 1 to 10 to 100. The 1 to 10 journey is the hardest bit because 0 to 1 probably works out maybe because you're at the right time at right place at the right place, right? Sorry, right place at the right time, right? And 10 to 100, you have hired the extremely good folks who are experts at whatever they are doing, whether it's a head of marketing or retail marketing or ABM marketing, head of inside sales, head of sales, etc. and all that, who are able to come. But from this journey where founder led to having the ability to hire these guys, right? Where your cash flows, your revenue and your this thing, right? That's a very daunting journey, to be very frank, right? And we are luckily I've had a good industry experience and I had enough folks who were actually in my network. Whenever there was a problem, either we'll call them up as asking a doubt, sometimes even consulting with me till that problem gets over or takes some shape, or maybe even if I can afford, I can hire that particular resource at that point of time, or in a contract or on a full-time basis, right? So that's the the trick of the trade for jumping from 0 to 1 to 10 to 100 kind of a journey. Does that answer the question, sir?
Well, let me, yes, it does. Let's flip that for a second, okay? Now, if you're sitting down with a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, who's about to drop a massive budget for a creative campaign, what's the number one mistake that you would advise him to avoid in creating a campaign?
Biggest thing which we keep repeating, right? Most brands still look at creators as a trading inventory, right? Like how I buy a TV ad, how I buy a radio ad, how I buy a newspaper ad, etc. and all that, right? What people tend to forget is that they are dealing with humans. It's not you make an ad using a designer and asking him to send it to the copywriter and after that refining the copy and just publishing, right? You are supposed to tell the narrative. When you are doing a brand narrative, you have a higher control. But when you're working with the creator, you're supposed to understand this is a creator narrative and how do I match my brand into it, not the reverse. And the extension of the same problem is how they actually operate creators itself, right? They try to buy rather than trying to build long-term relationships, and it reflects in the contract patterns, the pricing patterns, and maybe even the way they are looking at creators as just operational pieces during a campaign, not as a continued relationship, right? That is something which we constantly talk about to CMOs. Evolved brands started catching up. They started building in-house programs. They have dedicated teams also, and luckily that's where our SaaS play also fits in naturally, right? But 99% of the industry is yet to evolve.
I see. Okay, so these days we cannot talk about tech without talking about AI. It is changing everything. For Qoruz, does Gen AI make it easier for new competitors to copy you? Or are you using it to widen the gap? How does it change the creator economy for you? It can, for example, can it help you or will it disrupt you?
So what we see is any foundational model by default relies more on data to be more accurate in terms of either suggesting you things or even acting on your behalf, right? The same applies for creator marketing as well, right? The more we are able to own, mine, validate, and get cleaner data, we can feed it into a Gen AI model to actually give you either better research output or work output itself, right? And the more we are able to have that central hub of data of sorts, we are leveraging AI to do the suggestions. We are not in the business of building foundational models. We are more in the business of enabling data to drive either insights or actions, right? And hence it's just a data play.
So it's actually helping you in terms of performing your search better.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great to hear that. Okay, let's look at your dashboard. Without giving away the secret sauce or confidential revenue. Let's say when you wake up on a Monday morning, which 2 or 3 operating metrics do you personally obsess over to know how healthy your business is?
The obvious metric is retention and happiness of clients.
Yes.
But
We
before
talked about
that
that.
comes activeness or usage. If they are consuming engagement metrics, basically. If the engagement metrics are better, obviously they are gonna retain better, right? We keep looking at individual level engagement and org-wide engagement both, right? Let's say if a team of 10, only one person is continuously using it, it's still a scary problem, right? If as teams they are adapting, then it's a better thing, right? So we look at it from a bare basics, both as an individual level and as a org-wide levels.
Okay, so let's look at your big ambitions and also focus a little bit on the lessons that you learned along the way. So typically when an angel network like TCA backs a company, we are looking at an ultimate design horizon of, say, 3 to 5 years from. What is the grand vision? Is Qoruz dominating the Indian market a grand vision? Or are you building a global playbook for a creator economy? What is it? What would you like to tell a company or a network like TCA?
I would like to take an example of what is happening in the AI industry, right? The difference between NVIDIA versus AI companies, right? NVIDIA is like the enabler, and those guys are almost like builders on top of the enabler, right? It's not like OpenAI, like NVIDIA is trying to compete with OpenAI, they are trying to enable OpenAI. We are more like that for creator economy. We are not trying to own the entire creator economy itself. We are trying to build infrastructure for multiple people to operate and scale for their own selves, right? So that way, who are the different types of stakeholders who are a part of creator economy, right? From an agency, brand, even in a brand, a CMO, a brand manager, and a social media executive. An agency, an executive, an account director, and probably the business officer. And similarly, the other side of the equation, the celebrities, the talent managers, the athletes, the pure play social media creators. We want to become a central platform / infrastructure which affects their life for good in different ways what they seek around creator economy, right? I think we are reasonably there in India. We want to scale that globally also in the coming phases, where we have created multiple touch points for either of them or any of them to grow their businesses or their revenue, right? And the more we are able to do that, the more we will become the default of the industry.
So your ultimate aim is to go public, or would it be to be acquired?
So,
You don't have to answer it. That's still under wraps. But
playing by ears. There is the good parts and bad parts about the industry. The good parts is the fact that there is always something to build. Okay. The bad part is also the fact that you have to always keep building something.
yeah,
Right?
Right.
The industry is rapidly evolving, at a pace which it's harder and harder to catch up across time. Luckily today we are at a pace that let's say even if native platforms themselves are launching something similar, we can compete, right? But what will happen further down the lane is something very subjective. We don't even know whether platforms will combine and work together. For example, right now the data sharing between Meta and Google is not that tight. But if there is a probable direction where platforms will come together, of course you cannot fight 4 or 5 giants at the same time, right? Joining them is a better way to survive and scale.
Thank you for this. So before we wrap up, Looking back at the scars you gathered along the way, what's one lesson you learned the hard way that you will tell your other B2B SaaS founders to skip entirely? If there is a lesson that you want to
So
share.
it goes back to the same problem or the same point which I discussed about the 0 to 1 to 1 to 10 to 10 to 100, right? Most of SaaS founders think that they will create a product and then they will hire a head of sales and then the money will start raking in. Right? It's not just about creating a product, it's about creating a sellable, repeatable product. And that finding that sellable, repeatable product means that you're nailing marketing, nailing positioning, nailing pricing, nailing customer segments, etc. and all that, right? I do not think an expert can come and do that for you, right? Because an expert will be an expert in probably established industry, like maybe a Salesforce or a can come from a Salesforce, can come from a HubSpot, right? One, you cannot ever afford them, right? You'll probably hire somebody who used to report that guy at a very extremely high package. And then later you realize that all his tricks used to work in that industry, not in your industry.
Totally.
That is the thing I would say that I keep telling this to many B2B founders. Do not try to hire a head of sales till you made a least of 20 or 30 sales by your own self.
Yeah, absolutely. So true. So true. As I warned you, this is going to be a rapid fire round. So these are just basically just top of the mind, one sentence or one word answers that I want from you. So let's start. One word to sum up entrepreneurship.
Thrilling.
Okay. The hardest skill you had to master as a founder.
Being humble.
A book or a podcast that changed how you think.
Cold shut problem.
Okay, good. What metric you think founders look at too much or too little? I think you answered it earlier, but you can go ahead and answer it again.
Engagement metrics.
Praanesh, I love that. Thank you for being so candid. It's incredibly exciting to see how Qoruz is bringing structure to this wild west frontier of marketing. To everyone listening, if you caught some value in this, go ahead, hit the like and share this with your fellow founders. And please subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode of Founders and Funders. Thank you, Praanesh. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, sir. It was great having a conversation with you.